Welcome and good morning to Mike Ferry TV, the week of June 23rd. Everybody is asking the same question. What happened to the real estate market? Are we in a recession? Are we in a depression? What is going on and what's causing, the market to be the way it is? And of course, the challenge that we face is some parts of U.S. and Canada, the market is still very strong. Most of the U.S. and Canada, the market is weakened a little bit. Certainly not 2008, 9, and 10, but it has weakened a little bit. And I get asked all the time, what are the causes that are causing the changes in the market? And I've listed 5 or 6 things here that I want you to think about, because if you're working with buyers, they should have the right to know this information. If you're working with sellers, it's an impactful part that you can add to your presentation. So the first thought we have, of course, higher than normal interest rates. Now, what's fun, and you've heard me say this in the past, I almost said 1700, in 1970, we had interest rates at 17 and 18% for a 30-year fixed loan. So when it got down to 3%, 2.7%, the world went aha, and of course that was post-COVID. And of course the big challenge we face today is a lot of people have those 2.5% and 3% interest rates, whether it was purchasing a home or refinancing. And now, of course, they want to move up, move down, move out, move around, and they're stuck because the interest rates are 6.5 to 6.7, depending on where you are, and in some parts of North America, 7%, which when you think about it is not a high interest rate, it's a fair interest rate. But compared to 3%, it is a financial disaster for the people. See, what happens is a person that wants to sell with 3% talks to a great realtor like you about buying, and they're going to pay a little bit more for the home, obviously, than what they were selling it for. And so their mortgage would increase, and then they have 3% rate jump to 6.5. They simply cannot financially do it. Yes, some can, but the major portion cannot do it or will not do it. So what we're facing is probably 6 more months, December, January, February of 2026, of these kind of interest rates. But we also have at the same time something very different, which is higher than normal inflation. Having high inflation and high interest rates do not go hand in hand. This is a little confusing to me, and I'm sure it's confusing to a lot of people also. But a lot of people want to take advantage of that inflation by selling their home that do not have a 3%. It's almost like you want to prospect and say, tell me your current interest rate. If they say 3%, you smile and say good luck and go to the next one, because that's the challenge that you face with inflation. But the third factor, which is unusual, we went from not having enough homes for sale to inventory increasing on the rise virtually all over North America. Here in Las Vegas, the inventory has almost doubled, probably almost tripled in the last 6 months. And I hear that no matter where I go. And I travel a lot for this business I'm involved in, and I hear the same story. The inventory is on the rise. So now we have more homes for sale and high inflation, and then we have high interest rates. But the fourth factor is that the days on market for listings is increasing, and the days of and yet there's still parts of North America where you can list a property and have 2 or 3 offers in 10 or 15 days. That is the exception to the rule. That is not the rule. So if you understand the fact that with days on market extending, more listings coming on the market, higher than normal inflation, which the sellers want to take advantage of that inflation by getting more for their home than it probably is worth. And then you have the interest rate problem. You can see why there's a lot of confusion in the market. But there's something else going on, which I've been talking about at the seminars over the last couple of weeks. And that is the fact that the pool of strong listing agents, which I'm hoping some of you categorize as a strong listing agent, which means you're taking 3 to 4 or more listings per month. That is a very good listing agent. That pool of people is not getting bigger, but the results they're getting is, it is gigantically improving. So what we see is a group of people, maybe 10-15% of the agents, listing 75% of the properties, and their market share is increasing within the boundaries of that group, which means the majority of the agents are doing less and less and less. 10 days ago approximately, there was a report, and you read some of these reports and you wonder, could they possibly be true? In this report, they were saying NAR, our national body, the governing body of real estate in the U.S., NAR was saying that 70% of all the agents in the United States had not done a deal this year so far. Well, I mean, how do you be in real estate for coming up on 6 months and not have a listing or a sale? Well, part of the problem is this group that does control the listings are building small teams, and they have 3 or 4 buyer's agents or more on their team. And as a result of that type of activity, they're picking up all the sign calls, all the ad calls, all the marketing calls, so that large body of people that work with buyers, they're not even getting a chance, because this group over here is listing the property, putting the signs up, getting the showings, getting the offerings, getting the sign calls, doing their marketing of the event of the property and capitalizing on it virtually 100%. But the last factor I want to bring up that is causing this to take place is the high level of uncertainty that at least the American public feels about the economy. When there's a high level of uncertainty, the buying process slows down. That is, you can see that in the history of the ups and downs in the economy and in the real estate market. And there is a lot of uncertainty in terms of the economy today. First-time home buyers are being challenged by high interest rates, high inflation. It's very hard for them to make a decision, and first-time home buyers represent in most markets a pretty good percentage of the total transactions. So for years, and you've heard me say this, I've said listings are the name of the game. And then a year ago I changed that and I said listings are how you stay in the game. Listings are how you stay in the game. And then I changed it again a few months ago to listings are the game. I mean, if you're going to play in the real estate business, you need to work on your listing skills. But then last week I said to a group, so now I have a 4th version of that. Price reductions are the name of the game. Go online to MikeFerry.com, go to the area where we have our scripts, download the price reduction scripts, and start using them whether you have 1 listing or 10. Because the inventory is rising and growing, and most of those properties are overpriced, because we don't have the wherewithal to take 10 listings in 3 months. We're satisfied with 1, and that 1 is overpriced, which means you and the seller are sitting. So let's see, we, I think, have a 4th of July coming up in the U.S., a national holiday. I don't know what day of the week that falls on, but if I don't see you before, we wish you a happy holiday. Get your price reductions in play, and then understand that that small percentage that are taking the listings, there's room for you to be part of that. Talk to you next week.